Now to discuss the government shutdown and much more, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Republican of Louisiana. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Speaker. So you heard your Senate counterpart there offering Senate Democrats a promise of a vote by a date certain on extending the Obamacare subsidies. Are you willing to offer the same in the House of Representatives?
Yes. I mean, we've always been prepared to have a vote on that. It's something that was going to be discussed and debated deliberately throughout October and November, remembering that this is an end-of-the-year issue. The subsidy doesn't expire until December 31st. And as I've also explained, Jake, I mean, we have 535 members in the House and Senate, and there are a myriad number of ideas on reforms that would be necessary to actually have that passed into law and extended. We need all this time to negotiate that. But yes, I mean, that has always been the intention. And Leader Thune and I meet almost every other day, at least, to touch gloves and make sure we're on the same page. He is bending over backwards to offer to Schumer and the Democrats everything possible to get the government opened again. But they've now voted 10 times to keep it shut down. And real harm is being felt by real American people. By the way, that overture by Leader Thune was turned down by Chuck Schumer. He wants a guaranteed outcome of that vote, and that's not something we can deliver today because we haven't had all that deliberation yet.
There's not a lot of trust between Democrats and Republicans on the Hill right now. I want you to listen to what Senator Bernie Sanders said on our CNN town hall last night about talk of health care negotiations. This is what he said.
They've refused to negotiate, and anyone thinks that tomorrow they'll suddenly start negotiating, I think is smoking what is illegal in many states.
It sounds as though Leader Thune is negotiating behind the scenes to assure Democrats the negotiations are real. Are you talking at all to your Democratic counterparts? Are you doing any negotiating?
There have been constant negotiations going on, both inside the individual parties and across the chambers and across the aisle. I don't know what Bernie Sanders is talking about. So much of what he said, or what I've heard he said at his town hall last night, is incorrect, inaccurate. I think he knows that. He's been around here a long time. But look, this has, as I mentioned, the Obamacare subsidy was an issue that was always going to have to be resolved by way of consensus and thoughtful deliberation and discussion. There has been a lot of that on this subject. There is currently, and there will be going forward. That has nothing to do with the short-term stopgap funding measure of the continuing resolution. Bernie Sanders knows that. Chuck Schumer knows that. Everybody knows that. This is not a health care fight. This is a fight about keeping the lights on. This is a short-term funding fight. 7 weeks, simple measure to allow us to continue all this work. And ironically, they are the ones that are trying to stop that.
Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia has broken with your party, saying she's disgusted that these Obamacare subsidies are going to expire and that health insurance premiums could double. She says that Republican leaders have not given a plan to help the millions of Americans to deal with this. Do you have a plan?
Marjorie's frustrated because we're all frustrated. I had a thoughtful conversation with her on the phone right after she said that. I think the next evening. She's a friend and a colleague, and I explained to her all the deliberation and all the discussion that's been going on. Marjorie doesn't serve on the committees of jurisdiction where that's their specialty and their main area of interest. And I invited her to join the conversation and come into the room when all those deliberations are being had. So, look, there is a lot of frustration around here right now because we know that the American people are suffering. They're struggling right now. Paychecks are being withheld. Services are not being provided. I mean, real harm to real people because Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate are playing a game. I am very hopeful, Jake, that at least 5 Senate Democrats will come to their senses and do the right thing. We must have 60 votes to break the impasse in the Senate. We sent over a totally clean CR, and I can't emphasize this enough. We did not put any Republican partisan priorities on that bill when we sent it over from the House. It's exactly what Chuck Schumer voted on last March, and it's the exact same thing they've done their entire careers and gave impassioned speeches that we should do because they said, and Chuck Schumer said himself as recently as March of this year, it would be terribly irresponsible and dangerous to shut the government down because of all the people who are harmed in that process. I don't know what's happened except that politics has gotten in the way, and he's afraid that he's going to have a challenge from AOC or one of the other Marxist Democrats, and then he's going to lose his Senate seat. That's the only way to explain his about-face.
So speaking of AOC, last night at CNN's Town Hall, she criticized you for closing down the House of Representatives during this period where negotiation is needed and the Senate's in session. Take a listen.
They need to pick up a phone, Caitlin. I've never seen people who hate working so much in my life. I mean, genuinely, they won't even pick up the phone. If I were Mike Johnson, you should be in that office negotiating with Hakeem Jeffries every damn day until we reopen this government. And any day that you don't do that is a failure.
Your response, sir?
Yeah, instead of doing publicity stunts like AOC likes to do, instead of making social media videos, Republicans are working. We have been working. Right now, they're in their districts doing very valuable work. In our press conference this morning, I highlighted some of the very important things they're doing right now. What are they doing? They're trying to help their constituents navigate through this crisis that has been created by Democrats like AOC. She voted on September 19th in the House to block the pay for troops, TSA agents, Border Patrol agents, air traffic controllers, to stop the services to nutrition supplemental programs to women, infants, and children. She voted to stop service to the elderly and disabled and veterans. That's her vote record, and she's trying to obscure that fact and blame Republicans. I am always open to negotiating, but we had the negotiations in the House, and the mutual agreement by Republicans and Democrats, who were appropriators, who were working on the government funding, was to extend it for 7 weeks to November 21st so they would have time to finish the appropriations process. AOC engaged in a political stunt, as did Hakeem Jeffries, and voted against it for their own partisan political purposes, and they have created this mess. So it doesn't matter how many hours you give her in a town hall, the first ever socialist town hall on CNN. I'm glad it was aired. You got to hear their real views, and it's pretty dangerous for the future of America.
The director of the Office of Management and Budget, Russ Vought, is taking the shutdown opportunity to fire for good federal workers, not just to furlough, but to fire them. Multiple Republican lawmakers tell CNN that they're only finding out about the administration decisions on layoffs and contract cancellations after they've already been made public. Congressman Mark Amodei says he found out that $202 million worth of battery recycling projects were being canceled in his Nevada district via press release. He said, quote, "The communications culture sucks." Do you think the Trump administration is giving you, the legislative branch, these details sufficiently? And if so, are you passing all this information along to your members?
Look, the Trump administration is doing the very best they can with a very difficult situation. It is the Democrats who have voted now 10 times to keep the government shut down and require all of these reductions in force and the determination about what are essential programs, policies, and personnel and what are not. This is an unenviable situation that no one in the White House relishes. The president asked Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer himself in the Oval Office, in my presence and with Leader Thune, to please not shut the government down. Before any of this began, we never had to go down this road. But now that the Democrats keep deciding to keep the government shut down, they are forcing the administration to triage federal spending. Why? Because they have turned off the funding streams, Jake. That is what's happened. They can make this stop immediately if they would just do the simple and right thing. Pass our simple 24-page bill that just merely says status quo, keep the lights on. Democrats refuse to do it. They are the ones that are inflicting this pain on the people.
But that's not really quite accurate. I mean, Russ Vought is taking this opportunity to fire workers because they want to reduce the size of the federal workforce. None of these people are being paid anyway. It's not as though these furloughed workers are sapping up a budget. They're not being paid. This is an opportunity by Russ Vought to shrink government, as he has outlined in Project 2025 and other places.
No, look, this is a very important distinction. Furloughed workers do get paid on the back end. They get that pay back to them. It's reimbursed, as you know. That's how it works. That's the statute and the tradition and the practice. Russ Vought does want to reduce the size and scope of government, as does every common sense American, because the federal government is too big. It does too many things, and it does almost nothing well. As Reagan said, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem. We want to reform it. But this is a very important point, Jake. Russ Vought doesn't want to go about it this way, nor does President Trump, nor does any Republican in Congress. We want to do it through the regular order, the regular process of the Congress, to do this in a deliberate fashion. We don't want federal employees or federal workers to be given a hardship. We've got some of those patriotic Americans who serve in these agencies of the government. They provide essential services for the people. But again, it is the Democrats who are putting the Republican administration in the unenviable situation of trying to triage and figure out what are essential and what are not. That is not the choice of Russ Vought or Donald J. Trump or the Speaker or the leader in the Senate. It is the Democrats that are doing this to the American people. Plain and simple. That's the fact, and everybody can check it for themselves.
So you've said that you're not going to swear in newly elected Democratic Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva until the House returns for regular session and the government reopens. And in point of fact, you could, if you wanted to, swear in Grijalva tomorrow. Her election's now been certified. And you did swear in 2 members during pro forma sessions because their families were present. Congresswoman-elect Grijalva, her dad's not going to be able to attend the swearing in whenever it happens because he died, as you know. He was a member of Congress. She was elected to fill his seat. This move is delaying her constituents having elected representation. It's also denying her a moment for her to be sworn in to fill her late father's role. And look, I know you a little bit. That must bother you. Isn't it time just to swear her in already?
No, because so much of what you just summarized there is not accurate. Let me tell you what is accurate about it. First of all, I'm following the Pelosi precedent. When my dear friend and colleague from Louisiana, Julia Letlow, was elected under very similar circumstances in 2021, her late husband passed away, died of COVID, and they had a special election to fill the seat, and Julia won it. Nancy Pelosi took 25 days to administer the oath to Julia. Now, we didn't have press conferences and go banging on doors and make a big thing of it because we understood that is the regular process and tradition of the House. I am doing exactly the same thing. I have said 1,000 times in response to this, I am happy and anxious to administer the oath to Rep. Grijalva, and we will do that as soon as we return to legislative session. We need Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate to do that. It is ironic that the 2 senators from Arizona who are making noise about this are voting to keep the government shut down. If they want Rep. Grijalva to take the oath, they can vote. That's Mark Kelly and Gallegos. They can vote to do this. Let me say this right now, though, Jake. Rep. Grijalva she should be working for her constituents. I don't know what she's doing. I keep seeing their political stunt videos and they're knocking on the door and she's not there. She should be in her office. She should be working or in the district for her constituents. She's already hired 16 staffers. She should be taking constituent calls. She should be directing and helping them navigate the crisis that her colleagues here have created for her constituents. We're happy to administer the oath. We're going to do it as soon as we get back, but we got to get the lights on first. We got to make sure that our troops are being paid and our Border Patrol agents down in Arizona are being paid before we go through the ceremony of administering this oath.
Before you go, Mr. Speaker, do you have any prediction when this government shutdown is going to be over?
I wish I could tell you. People ask me that every hour of every day. I have no idea. The ball is in the court of 5 Senate Democrats. 44 of them have voted 10 times to shut the government down. We need 5 common sense Democrats to come to their senses and stop inflicting this pain on the American people so we can all get back to the business here of running the government. It is beyond me why they're doing this. It's purely for partisan political purposes. There's no other way to see it. And we've got a lot of work to do here, and I pray they end it soon, Jake.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, thank you so much, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.